And so thank you for allowing me to have an opportunity to share, and I'm ready to share. And if it was just you and me, I mean, if it was just you on the other side of the table and we were having a little conversation, if you would say to me, John, what was the most important thing that you could ever share with me, it would immediately be the fact that God loves you unconditionally and gave his son to die for your sins, and that you could know salvation through him. I would share my faith. That's because that's what I love. That's who I am, and I do that daily. But if you ask me what would be the second most important thing that I could share with you, if you and I were just having a conversation, I would talk to you about your perspective, how you think in life. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And we are today where our thoughts have brought us, and we will be tomorrow where our thoughts take us. And if I could help you with perspective and mindset and attitude and thinking, I would bring my father here. And my father just last month he's 97 now. And this man has a perspective and an attitude that is just amazing. I've known him all my life, okay? And there's just no one. He is one of a kind. A couple of years ago, he's always been in great health. A couple of years ago, he fell and broke 6 ribs. And I can remember going and seeing him, and he was at that time under 24-hour care, and you know, that's kind of a tough situation. And so I was sitting across from him, and he said, "Son," he said, "look at me." He looked at me, he said, "You know, I've broken ribs, and I've got some care around the clock right now." But he said, "Look at me," and he smiled real big on his face. He said, "Look at me, son." He said, "I'm happy. I'm happy." And I looked at him and I thought, I know people that have a hanged toenail. And you'd think that they are at the end of their life. "Look at me, son." He said, "I'm happy." And then a few months later, he was recovering really well from the ribs, and then a few months later, he had a stroke. So I'm with him, and he was trying to get his speech back, and so I was loving on him, and I was telling him, I was saying, "Dad, you really can't talk a lot yet. You've got to regain your speech, but it's okay because you have a contagious smile." And I said that when people come into your room, you just smile real big, and they'll read your smile. And he just gave me a big smile, like, I got it, son. I've got the smile down. I've got the smile down. And I was back to see him a couple weeks later, and one of the nurses grabbed me and said, you do understand that, you know, we're taking care of people all the time here. And she said, it's a very tough job. And a lot of places we go into the rooms, it's pretty discouraging, and they're not too thrilled, and they're not too happy, and they're kind of old, and they're kind of grumpy. And she said, we all here go into your father's room to refresh ourselves. It's like an oasis, she said. We go in there, and all of a sudden we realize that what we do really does matter and make a difference. And she said, we just love him. And so I went in the room, and he was talking about his therapy, and he was getting his speech back. And he looked at me, he said, "Son," he said, I want you to know, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. And sure enough, he did. He got out of the wheelchair. Now he's got the walker, and now he's starting to take a few steps without the walker, and he's coming back. And so I nicknamed him. I said, "Dad, you've done so well. I'm going to call you Daddy Lazarus." And he's Daddy Lazarus, and he loves that name, Daddy Lazarus, Daddy Lazarus. And then the last time I was with him, he said, "Son," he said, "listen to me." He said, "I've been praying," and he said, "God's been talking to me." And he said, I just want you to know, I believe that my greatest days of ministry are still in front of me. Every time I'm with my father, I just take a mental picture and thank God that I was privileged enough to grow up in an environment with a man who had such an incredible perspective about life. And I'm here to tell you today, if I could sit across the table, and if I could do one thing for you, again, outside of sharing faith, if I could do one thing for you, I would work with you on having the right kind of a spirit, the right kind of perspective, a right kind of attitude about life. You know, we go to when I go to the dentist and they get done cleaning my teeth, they always, give me dental floss. And, I go through the same lecture every time of, the dental floss, and it's good for you to do dental floss and all that stuff. Well, I wish that we had in our head, I wish that we had a zipper, and I could open it up, and I could do mental floss. How are we doing, huh? Come on, aren't there not some people you'd like to do some mental floss on, huh? You just know something and you say, oh, they need this, and aren't you glad that you brought them tonight? And that they're sitting beside you right now. Aren't you delighted? Isn't it wonderful, okay? You see, I'm going to share with you just a couple perspective principles, and then I'm going to talk to you about perspectives about possessions. And they're just on the screen. Here's the first one. How we view things determines how we do things. I could go 30 minutes on that. That basically my behavior is a result of my perspective. Here's another one. What you see is who you will be. We don't all see the same thing. We can be in the same environment, we can be in the same service, and we can come back with two different whole mental pictures of what we've just engaged in. Here's another one. When we change the way that we look at things, the things we look at change. And so many times when people come to me and they're wanting to fix someone else or correct someone else, I look at them and say, really, that's probably a little bit out of your league. You probably don't really have that capacity, but I will say this. If you really want to change that person, change yourself first. Just start with you. Here's the last one. What I believe about life determines how I perceive life, which determines what I receive from life. Those are just perspective thoughts, because it's a world that I live in, and I would love to help you with perspective, but probably this is the best perspective that I can give you. And so I brought it with me. It's laminated, okay? Again, when there's something really good, I laminate it. I just do. So whenever I pull out a laminated card, you just can say, oh, this. In fact, look at your neighbor and say, this is good. You go ahead and tell them that. This is good. It is. If I would have been Moses, when I went up on top Mount Sinai, I'd have laminated those 10 Commandments. I wouldn't have put them on stone. Those babies will break. I'd have grabbed those laminated 10 Commandments. I'd have stuck them in every Jewish pocket I could find, baby. I'd have been just sticking those babies all over. Okay. So this is the best perspective I can give you. This will just say it all, and then we're going to grab on possessions. We're going to go for it. And this is, I'm going to read you a dog's diary, and then I'm going to read you a cat's diary. Excerpts from a dog's diary. 8 a.m., dog food, my favorite thing. 9:30, a car ride, my favorite thing. 9:40, a walk in the park, my favorite thing. 10:30, got rubbed and petted, my favorite thing. Lunch, my favorite thing. 1 p.m., played in the yard, my favorite thing. 3 p.m., wagged my tail, my favorite thing. 5 p.m., milk boats, my favorite thing. 7 p.m., got to play ball, my favorite thing. 8 p.m., wow, watch TV with the people. My favorite thing. 11 p.m., sleeping on the bed, my favorite thing. Excerpts from a cat diary. I see the train a-coming. Day 983 of my captivity. My captors continue to taunt me with bizarre little dangling objects. The only thing that keeps me going is my dream of escape. There you got it, folks. Perspective. And so, I want to talk to you about our perspective about possessions. It's the story of the Good Samaritan, and it becomes about when Jesus teaches it because a legalist went to him, and he was giving really a trick question. He was asking him, who is my neighbor? So let's look at the scripture and let me teach from it. In reply, Jesus said, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, he passed on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and he bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense that you may have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? The expert in law replied, the one who had mercy on him, and Jesus told him, go and do likewise. In this story, we see 3 of the 4 perspectives that people have about possessions. Let me give them to you. First of all, the robbers. The robber's perspective about possession is very simple. What is yours is mine, and I'm going to take it. That's how a robber thinks. If you got it, I want it, and I'm going to take it. Now, I don't need to spend much time on that this evening because I assume that most of us live a little higher level of living than that. Can I go on, or do you think I need to stay here? I don't want to take, I just don't want to assume things. Because to be honest with you, we all have a little robber in us. We're born with robber in us. Because the closest people to robbers in their perspective are toddlers. Can you handle the depth of my teaching tonight? And when you look at a toddler's perspective about possessions, here's what they would think and do. If I like it, it's mine. If I can take it away from you, it's mine. If I had it a while ago, it's mine. If I say it's mine, it's mine. If it looks like mine, it's mine. If you're having fun with it, it's mine. If you lay it down, it's mine. If it's broken, it's yours. Huh? You see, there's not much difference between a toddler and a robber. We're all born in sin, and basically we all have a high degree sometimes of envy and selfishness in our life. And that's one perspective about possessions. But we won't dwell there because I think most of us have gone beyond the toddler stage, and hopefully we've not gone to the robber stage. So let's look at the priest and the Levite because they had a different perspective about possessions, and theirs was very simple. What is mine is mine, and I'm going to keep it. We know the story. I read it, of these 2 people, the priest and the Levite, who saw the fellow in bad shape, and it says they went to the other side of the road, and they went by. They passed him. What's mine is mine, and I'm going to keep it. I have a wonderful friend who took his son to McDonald's, and he told me this story, and it just fits so well here. He took his son and his son loved McDonald's fries, and so he went up and he ordered a packet of fries for his boy, and so they sat down. And so his kid's just enjoying the fries. And, you know how McDonald's fries smell. And that, he just looked at him. His dad, after, he's watching this go on for about a couple minutes. And, boy, he just thought those fries look good. So he thought, you know what, I think I'll have one myself. And so he reached over to the kid's pack to get a couple of fries. And when he got his hands on the fries, his son grabbed his dad's hands and pushed him away. He said, no, Dad, these are my fries. And the dad said, I pulled my hand back. And in an instant, he said, I thought the following three things. Number one, my son doesn't understand where these fries come from. I went up to the counter. I reached in. I got my money. I bought those fries from him. I am the source of those fries. He said, the second thing I thought, immediately he said, he doesn't understand that I can take those fries from him. Or if I want to, and he said this kind of with a little look that was probably not the right kind of look. He said, if I want to, I could bury him in fries. And he said, I thought about that. I thought about going over and just ordering 50 packs of fries and just taking them over and just dumping. I can take them away from him and I can bury him. And he said, the third thing I immediately thought was this. He doesn't understand. I don't need his fries. I can go back to the same counter. I can give him some more money and I can have my own fries. You see, I don't need his fries, but he said, as a father, what stung a little bit was this. I don't need his fries, but I thought how wonderful it would be if he would like to share them with me. And I'm listening to that and I'm saying, that'll preach. I'm telling you, when you know you have the calling of the ministry and preaching, when you can take an illustration like that and put a biblical twist to it. But let me tell you something right now. That's exactly the way it works. You see, there are two incompatible words when we think about our prospective possessions, and that one is selfishness and significance. Significance is all about others, and selfishness is all about us. And they're not compatible at all. And when I have the what is mine, and I'm going to keep it, there's no possibility of life that I'm ever going to have a significant life as long as that's my perspective about the possessions that I have. And success, and selfish people cheat themselves. So when we hold on to our possessions, what you don't realize, my name is John, I'm your friend, is you're cheating yourself. The very fact that you're trying to hold on to something is the very fact that it's going to cause you to lose it. What you keep, you lose. What you lose, you keep. Here's what the scripture says in Proverbs 11:24. A generous man will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. If you refresh others, you get refreshed. If you give, it comes right back to you. If there's a refreshment in a person that has a generous spirit and an attitude of selflessness with people. You see, the problem in our culture today isn't the haves and the have-nots. It's the give-nots. That's the problem. Whether you have little or you have a lot, the issue isn't whether you have a lot or have a little. It's not that. It's the give-nots. So let's go to the third perspective about possessions. And the third perspective is, and this is from the Samaritan, the Good Samaritan, what is mine is yours, and I'm going to give it. Now we're starting to get in the area that we want to start living our life in. What is mine is yours, and I'm going to give it. And he had a very healthy perspective about his possessions. Now, isn't it interesting? The priest, the Levite, and the Samaritan, they all saw the same problem. In fact, Jesus makes sure that we know that the priest and Levi saw the man. He doesn't want us to think that they passed him and, oh my gosh, I just didn't see him. No, he said they all saw it. So they all saw the problem. They all had the same opportunity, and they all had a reason not to help. They all had a reason not to help. But see, the priest and the Levite, they had what I call an inside perspective, and the Samaritan had an outside perspective. Let me explain the difference. If I have an inside perspective, everything I see is based upon how will that affect me. And the first person I always look out for is myself. And so when the priest and the Levite, when they saw this person, I can promise you, they looked at him and said, oh my gosh, he needs some help, but well, what's that going to do to me? And I can promise you, here's the key. Here's the key for selfish people. Selfish people never want to be inconvenienced. There's a lot of inconvenience in serving and giving and loving. And so therefore, they had a schedule. I'm sure they had somebody to meet in Jericho. And so basically, this is going to inconvenience me. And so they went on. You see, the Samaritan had an outside perspective. And when he asked the question, if I don't stop, he's asking what will happen to him. Well, what's going to happen to him is he's going to die. When Pastor Chris was talking to us about the incredible legacy offering and all the people that are going to be blessed by your financial gifts. And when he was talking about that, I thought to myself, here's what's incredible. You're going to become the conduit to be a blessing to so many people at this wonderful time of the year. But what's incredible is that gift that you give is going to literally change lives. It's going to make a difference for people. You can go around at Christmas saying, I made a difference. You see, the Samaritan said, well, if I don't stop, what's going to happen to him? Well, he was already half dead. He's going to die. But the Samaritan also asked, if I don't stop, what will happen to me? And what's going to happen to the Samaritan if he doesn't stop is that his heart is going to become calloused. You see, when you live a selfish life, after a while, you can pass people. You can pass people with needs and hurts, and you can pass them, and it has very little effect on you because you've just basically taken your soul and it's become calloused. And the question is this: when you don't serve and when you don't share, when you don't give, the person that always loses is the person that holds it for themselves. Albert Einstein said, a person first starts to live when he can live outside of himself. And you're having an opportunity to live outside of yourself. Now I really want to get to this amazing fourth perspective. And this fourth perspective, I mean, we'd all like to be where the Samaritan is. That's pretty good, isn't it? What's mine is yours, I'm going to give it. I mean, how many of you think that's pretty good? Don't you think that's good? Huh? Okay. I think it's good too. Okay. Could I just take you to a level that's like out of sight? Okay. Look at your neighbor and say, you should strive for this level. Are you ready? This is a killer. This is I'm just about to give you a life change now. I'm just about to give you a life change on this perspective here, because this is going to stretch you, but I'm going to promise you, if you can grasp the biblical principle here, your life is about to be incredibly beautifully elevated. And here's the perspective. What is mine is not mine, and I'm going to manage it. This will change your life. What is mine is not mine, and I'm going to manage it. By the way, you're taking notes, so I'm going to just pause for a moment. I'm so glad I have my nephew, he and his buddy William go to the University of Alabama, and they knew I was here, so they came down to be with him. So I took him out to dinner for a little bit tonight, and really we didn't have much time, so I gave him appetizers, and so afterwards I'll take him out to dinner, and I need somebody to give me $100. To take the boys. So would anybody be, will you give me a hand? Oh, well, thank you, Mark. Thanks a lot. You boys are going to get you're in good shape now. You're going to be able to eat tonight. That was good. Thank you very much. Let's go on. You don't want to go on, do you? You're trying to figure what out just happened. You're saying, John wanted $100 and he just got up and gave him $100, and you're asking, why did he do that? And some of you are already starting to feel guilty and say, well, why didn't I do that? And I think that maybe we ought to just pause for a moment and give hundreds of others of you I see that hand. Are there any others? Any others? I see that hand. Now let me just stop here for a moment and just say, I said I needed $100, and Mark got right up and he brought $100 to me. And let me tell you, you're wondering, well, why did he do that? And why did he do that so readily? And why did he do that so quickly? It's very simple. You see, before the service, I went over to him. And I gave him $100. And I said, Mark, would you just do me a favor during the service? I'm going to ask for $100. Would you just bring me my money back? This is where we're going to find out if he's a robber or not. Would you just bring me my money back? And see, he didn't have any problem. You know why he had no problem bringing the $100? He knew the $100 wasn't his. Yeah. He had no problem. He had no problem. You see, when I watch people have a hard time giving God their time, their talents, their finance, when I watch them really working and having a hard time, you know what I understand? I understand very quickly. They don't have this perspective. They don't understand. Folks, it's not your money. It's not your life. It's not your gifts. It's not your talent. They're called gifts. That's why they're gifts. You didn't earn them. You didn't deserve them. They're gifts. What part of gifts don't you understand? You see, it's not hard to let go if it's not yours. Now, my friends, this perspective will totally change your life. Psalm 24:1, the earth is the Lord, everything in it, that would be you and me, and the world and all who live in it. James 1:17, every good and perfect gift comes from above, comes down from the Father of lights. During this Christmas season, let's say you had a gift that you wanted to give somebody in need, and so you took it to the overnight delivery person, and you had the right address, and you had that gift, and you handed it to them, and you went home, only to find out the next morning the delivery person didn't take it to the person in need. The delivery person took it home. In fact, not only took it home, opened it up. And you say, well, you go confront me, say, wait, no, excuse me, what are you doing? This was to be delivered to somebody that had a need. And he said, well, I just thought because you gave it to me that it must be mine. We are God's delivery children. And what he does is he blesses us to be the conduit to go bless others and to pass it on. And so when he gives me something, he doesn't give it to me. He gives it to me to give it to you. God will only give to you what he knows will flow through you. Wow. Just because he puts some money in my hands doesn't mean that I'm supposed to keep it. So there are 5 questions. 5 questions I ask myself all the time. When I'm asked to give, there are just 5 questions. I just want to give them to you because this is just huge. And these are so practical. This will help you. This is how I grid my giving. And by the way, I'm just about to give these 5 to you. But I want to tell you something. There may not be a church in America that has a better attitude about giving and a better perspective about giving than this church right here. You do know that, don't you, huh? Okay? You do that. Yeah. So when I'm giving you these perspectives, I'm giving them because you're already good. I just want you to get a little better. How many of you're good, but how many of you are good, but you could probably just up it a little bit? You know what I'm talking about, huh? And how many of you are sitting beside somebody who could up it a lot? Okay. There's 5 questions. 5 questions I ask when I'm getting ready to give, and these are practical. These will live with you. So write them down. Here we go. Number 1 is the leadership question. Does the leader have competence and character? And both of those are essential. Competence means they're a good leader. Character means they're an honest leader. And so if I'm going to, everything rises and falls on leadership. So if I'm going to financially give, I want to make sure that the leadership has competence. I want to make sure it has character. I don't need to stay there and yell it, because you know and I know, listen to me, I know of nobody that I have more respect for than the character and the competence of your staff right here at Highlands. You're incredibly, incredibly blessed by people who model all of the virtues and all of the attributes that need to be modeled for you and I to be good, strong, faithful Christians. But does the leadership do they have character? Do they have competence? Because I want to make sure I get it into the hands of a good leader, because a good leader will do good things with it, like a bad leader would do bad things. Make sense? Question number 2 is the involvement question. Can I give more than dollars? Can I roll up my sleeves and do something? And again, I'm telling you, when I think of Highlands and I think of all the incredible community projects that you do, I mean, you're always rolling up your sleeve. And Matthew 25 says that every time you do that, you're doing that for Jesus. You're doing it right to Jesus. You're ministering to the Lord. This congregation, you constantly minister to Jesus. When somebody says, I'd like to be close to Jesus, I say, well, that's simple. Just go feed somebody that's hungry. Go clothe somebody that's naked. Go visit somebody in the prison, because Jesus said every time you do it for me. You do it right to me. You do it to me. He values people so much that when you give to others, he takes it personally. Number 3, the difference question. Is this organization, is it making a difference for others, and is it making a difference for me? In other words, one of the things I want to always do is I want to give where my life is being changed. I want to give where I can say, wow, my life has been changed with that organization, with that church, with that congregation, and I think it'll help change other lives. It's just an incredible thing. And again, on all of the campus today, I mean, tens of thousands of people's lives are changed because of this congregation. I'm going to switch them around. I'm going to give you what's the 5th question, the 4th question, and then I'll do the 4th question, the 5th question, okay? And you didn't need to know that. I just looked at it and thought I wanted to switch it around. And so I'm going to give you the last question now, and then I'll give you, okay, got it. The fourth question is the God question. What is God blessing, and has he prompted me to give? Boy, I love that question. I want to give where God is blessing. I want to give where his hand is and his anointing is upon the cause and the people. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you this question because I don't teach this question very much. In fact, I've shared this, I believe, publicly 3 times. But it's a personal question that changed my life 5 years ago. So I'm going to pass it on to you, okay? And you don't even want to go there unless you want to be unbelievably, incredibly off the charts, you can't believe it, indescribably blessed. So if you don't want that, you don't want to go here. Okay? So it's your choice. It's your choice. I call it the potential question. And the potential question, basically I ask, how can I increase my giving? I was speaking to Microsoft, and they asked me, they said, what's your financial goals? And I told them, I said, you don't want to know. And they said, well, we do want to know. And I said, no, trust me, you don't want to know. They'll disappoint you. And you do know that when you tell people they don't want to know, it makes them want to know more. And so about 5 times after you don't want to know, they're on their feet saying, no, we really do want to know. And they said, what's your financial goals? I said, well, my financial goals are very simple. I want to give all my money away. And it's a very simple, this isn't brilliant. You say, why do you want to give all your money away? Because you don't get to take it with you. I don't know if you know that or not. I've never seen a hearse followed by a U-Haul. You don't get to take it with you, okay? You don't get to take it, okay? So My wife and I, about 12 years ago, we set out a financial planner, and we're giving it all away. Now we've taken care of the kids, so don't worry. I'm a good dad. You want to take care of the family, but they're taken care of. And so we already told them, you don't get any more, okay? You don't get any more. You got what you got, and we're helping you, and we're blessing you. We're thrilled to do that, but you don't get any more. And so we're going to give it all away. And so every year we increase our giving. And the kids. The only problem with that plan is you really don't know when you're dying. And the kids came back. They figured this out. They said, Dad, but you don't know when you're going to die. What happens if you run out before you're dead? I said, well, it's no problem. I'll live with you. Oh, they're praying hard now. They're praying hard. They're praying hard. And so 5 years ago, I was getting ready for a legacy offering, like you're getting ready for a legacy offering. And I felt very prompted to pray this prayer. I just said, God, for the next year, any unexpected income that I receive, this isn't any income that I have worked for or planned, but if there's any unexpected income that comes to me, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that. I will take however much that is, and I'll not keep it at all. I'll give it all right back into your kingdom. And that prayer changed my life. Because it's personal, I will not tell you the dozens of stories in the last 5 years. And I remember the first time, about 3 months later, I got some unexpected income, and my first response was, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that. That's so wonderful. And I kind of went to Margaret, kind of like, oh, hey, what do you think we ought to do with this? And all of a sudden God says, I know what you ought to do with this. You told me it was mine. And I said, oh yeah. It's amazing what you can promise God when you don't think you're going to get anything. The promise is always tested when He blesses you. And I gave that to Him. And I've kept giving it to Him. And now for 5 years, I have truly lived, this perspective. And I can tell you, my precious friends, the most exciting thing in my life is watching God give me these unexpected blessings. And when He does it, now it's so simple. The first time I'll be honest with you, the first time I wanted to keep it, and even the second time, I'm not as spiritual as you think I am. And even the second time, I thought, God, I think I meant like a percentage. And He said, no, you said all. You said all, son. You said all. And so, now it's wonderful. And now here's what's incredible and beautiful. Here's what I just want you to know. What's so beautiful now is every time it happens, and it happens, it does. It happens 2 times, 3 times. But whenever it happens, I know immediately that God is saying, John, I trust you. I trust you to be my delivery man. And you're looking at a happy guy, because basically all I do anymore is I do deliveries for God. And that's what I want for you. God bless you. Thank you very much.